Good morning, everyone. Please let's have our seats. Thank you. Father in heaven, we thank you for this gathering this morning. We invite you to teach us, to grant us the wisdom that we need to navigate our careers, our lives, to fulfill that purpose for which you have created us. At the end of this session this morning, all glory should be unto you, and we should have received the audacious spirit to fulfill our purpose here on earth. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Pastor, for washing me at my school. I'm grateful for the privilege to stand in front of brethren this morning to share a little bit of what I know and the things I've kind of worked for me in my short career so far that I believe everyone can learn from, whether you're a beginner, whether you're at mid-level or even at senior level right now. I don't have a lot of time, so I will try to move very quickly. But before I start, how many people here are active career people? Like you are in career space? I just want to have a first sense of my audience. Okay, that's like 1/3 of the house. Thank you very much. Now, how many of us know the difference between a job, a hustle, and career? Some of us have what we call a job. A job is what you do every day to make money. If you don't have that job, you don't have work, you don't have money. Like if they sack you today, that's the end. That's a job. A hustle is what you do to make a living. It's different from what you do to earn money, right? What you do to make a living, that's a hustle. So meaning it is not one thing. You are jumping from one today, you are a shoemaker. Tomorrow, you are painting. Next tomorrow, it is not coordinated. They call them gbogbolowo in Yoruba, like work day. For those of us who went to OAU, there are people who knock on your door every morning and they're like, any work you get, that's also. And then we have a career. A career, like Pastor mentioned earlier on, a career is your ministry. A career is the purpose for which you wake up every morning. What is that contribution you want to make to a society or a niche that you've chosen? So, for example, I've chosen marketing as my niche. My career is in marketing. Everything you see me do would evolve around marketing, helping brands grow from zero to infinitum. Wherever you find me is all about growth. How do we grow this from this level to this level? That is all I am thinking about. That is all the work I want to do. So I can work for a small company. I can work for a growing company. I can work for a multinational company. It's all about growth for me. So you are not going to see me tomorrow try to apply for a job in product management or try to apply for a job in project management. If it has nothing to do with marketing, business growth, right, where I can see the impact that I can make in terms of, how to improve this station, that is not my calling. That's not what I'm interested in doing. So one of the things we need to be very conscious about is, what am I even doing, right? Am I doing a job? A job is just paying my salary at the end of the month. I don't care, Ogata, let my money just be complete. If that's the disposition you have to the job you have, to your work, then what you have is a job, right? And that's why you see that because we're now living in what we call a gig economy, right? Where everybody's just looking for gigs. And of course, I can't blame us. We're in Nigeria where the quality of life is dwindling almost every day. So I used to make a joke that my dad only worked one job, right? And he was able to build a house, he had cars, he had 5 children, and we never really looked like we're going to suffer for one day. Today, I'm earning times 10 of what my dad earned. And I don't even have a house yet. I'm still trying to manage my car, right? And it looks like it's not enough. And that is what is driving a lot of people today to just say, look, I'm just looking for the next job that is going to pay me the next big money. So you're not necessarily thinking in straight lines. You're just thinking is where's the next low-hanging fruit for me to make money, right? I won't say it is bad. I would just say that there should be a purpose underlining it so that you don't just wake up one morning and somebody takes it away from you and it feels like you don't have anything again, right? So this morning, I loved the charge that started this session this morning. They talked about, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. The power is basically what we're trying to address this morning, where the knowledge is. The knowledge, practical knowledge. I'm not trying to preach this morning. I'm not even going to try to preach. It's just, where is the knowledge in all of these things? When you know something, right, you will be able to approach it better with more wisdom and, get the whole sense of it. So we've been talking about Audacious over the last 2 days. This is day 3. From a career perspective, I will try to begin by first disabusing our mind from, what it means to be audacious, right? Some people think being audacious, like, it comes from the word audacity, is arrogance, right? Audacity is not arrogance. It's not, just saying, because I've finished this conference now, and I've been told that anywhere I step my foot is for me. Yes, it is for you, but not in the way that announces you prematurely, right? And sets you up for being terminated, before you even have the chance to make your impact. So it is not arrogance, right? It is not loud. There's a difference between being present, having presence, and being loud. That's why they call it aura. Do you understand? Somebody can have aura, like they are here, they're not saying anything, but you can feel their presence. You can see them, even though they are trying to even hide, right? So audacity is not you being loud, like, oh, once I enter here, everybody must know that I'm here. And, it puts you in a negative light if you are always loud, right? And it's also not aggressive, right? It is not aggressive. And I see this a lot in corporate spaces where even people that are Christians, I call them Christians because they represent God. You see in how they pray, how they, carry themselves always. But the moment they get into position of power, it feels like that's their opportunity to unleash their, and, by their fruits, we shall know them. Right. So if you in the morning, you are always playing your NSPPD, but once it's time for meetings, you're using derogatory words to people, and it gives conflicting signals, right? And these things have a way of playing out as your career grows. Because trust me, one of the lessons I'm learning from my current mentor is that when you get to a position of leadership in corporate spaces, you need to be very careful of the people that are under you, right? Because when you retire, you become, you can retire into oblivion or retire into relevance. The people who trampled on people or acted anyhow, in their latter years, by the time they retire, you see that they just become useless. Nobody's calling them for gigs anymore. They are not consultants. They're not even getting board. They're not getting, inducted into boardrooms. And that's where retirement money really comes from, when you are consulting. So all of these have a role to play, right? So now, what exactly does audacity mean for a career person? One is the holy confidence, right? To occupy spaces God has prepared for you. So it's about you knowing that I am here in this organization for a purpose, right? And I am going to fulfill this purpose. Nothing will stop me, right? So it is not about you going there and trying to be aggressive, like, oh, I must get this done, whether you like it or not. It's about the confidence to approach the problems in your organizations, approach your peers, approach your seniors to demand for things in a strategic way, not in a bullish way. It's about you paying attention to what is being said, what is not being said, and understanding what you need to do and connecting them together, right? I'm going to break them down as we go. It's the refusal, and this is the best part for me, it is the refusal to play small in a world that requires your light. And this is where a lot of career people miss it. We want to be humble because one of the fruits of the Spirit is what? Humility. But humility is the best time to know a humble person is not when they have nothing to be proud of. The best time to know a humble person is when they've just done something great and they are not trying to lord over people. So if you've not done anything great, your humility is just a facade. Right? So don't play humble when you've not made impact. Your impact should come first, and then humility to understand that this is just day one. That's where the humility comes. Not to say I have finished the race and then I don't have anything else to pursue. The humility in this context is that you've just done something great, but you are not resting on your oars to say, this is the limit, this is the peak for me, I can't aspire for more. Is to say, look, I've not done anything yet. Guys, let's not celebrate too much. There is still more to do. That's where the humility is. But a lot of us think that, being humble is not shouting, not showing myself, just hiding and not doing too much so that nobody sees me. You are doing yourself a disservice that way, right? So the audacity here is that you are able to do what? To play big, shine your light, right? The Bible says, let your light so shine before men. Before who? Not in your room, not at your desk. It is before men, because you have been sent to the world. And who are the people in the world? Is men. That they can do what? They can see your good works and glorify. So you see that your career is a ministry. It is for you to shine your light so that people can see through you and know that there is a God behind you. And then they want to come for that God to say, if this God can do this for you, he can do it for me. But if you cannot preach through the successes that you have in your career, it's hard to preach that God is really good. Right? So if we are in a career or if we are in a job or whatever it is, and we are playing small, we are trying to hide, when we should be leaders, we are trying to copy, we will not have the opportunity to evangelize as we should. Right? So it's important. And what I need us to have is a deep-rooted conviction that our skills are a gift to the marketplace. We are not contributors. We are here to innovate. We are here to lead. We are here to start something, to start a revival, to show that something different has just come into this space. And this is how it's going to get done. Not that you are there to conform. That's what a lot of Christians like to do. I've come into a space and, the first thing you're asking is do they do politics here? Because you want to conform. You want to you want to play according to the rules of their game. When you are coming from a different place where the rules don't matter. Right? So it's very important that you need to have that deep-rooted conviction that I am here. This is one of my personal principles of taking any job. If I cannot from the JD, if I cannot see where my impact to be most felt, I'm not going to apply for the job. Because it's very easy to get lost in a job if you cannot quantify the impact of the role you are about to play. My current job, I took it because I'm already seeing the story. I'm going to be able to tell about it in 5 years. Oh, I took this job when they were at this level, and then I brought it up to this level. So there is something that pursues me every morning. So I know my gifts can do something in this space. I can see it. So it does not matter what already exists. What am I bringing into this job? Right? That is basically what is driving me to take that job. Not because, oh, they are going to pay me a lot more. Because guess what? Companies, they don't really think too much about whether they want to pay you. When it's time to let you go, it's as good as just go. But one of the things that makes you indispensable in any company is the value that you are bringing to that organization. And if you cannot quantify it yourself, trust me, your boss is not even thinking about it. That's why when you get to the point of appraisal, one of the things that kills a lot of people is those recency bias. You might have been doing very well from January to September. There's something breaks in October, November, and then it affects your appraisal in December. If you don't remind your boss that what about those things I did in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, your boss does not care. So you yourself have to be able to quantify the value you are bringing to the table and not leave it defined for you, right? So in the next few minutes, I'm going to speak about 4 practical things. There's a difference between a job. The underlying difference is that there is a purpose for which you're working, and it is not money. Right? So you need to ask yourself, in this career space I've chosen for myself, what legacy or what change or what value do I want to add to it? Right? Like I said, if you want to use my example is I'm not going to take a job if I cannot see the growth part, how I can grow it from this level to this level. So you need to also look at yourself in this part that I've chosen, right? So if you're a customer service person, you need to ask yourself, okay, as a customer service professional that is not doing it for money, what exactly is the career I want to build around here? Is it that I want to make sure that in every organization I work, customer service will always be at 98% lowest? Meaning everything I'm going to do, all the trees I'm going to pull, all the processes I will put in place, all the frameworks I'm going to use will be all about satisfying the customer. If that job is not going to give me the capacity to do this, I'm not taking it so that I don't mess up my own career. And these things may look hard, but they are what differentiates you from every other professional in the market. If you don't have principles or values that define the work that you do, you will just be regular. And you'll get regular jobs. You get regular opportunities. You would not be able to scale your impact. You'll not even be able to see hidden opportunities in some of the work that you do. And that is the difference that I'm hoping that we can make this money. So 4 practical things we can do. Now, the first thing here is we need to stop believing the myth of quiet confidence, MYTH. We need to stop believing the myth of quiet confidence. What is quiet confidence in this case? Now, it's a common misunderstanding that if I simply work hard and stay quiet, my work will speak for me. That is the biggest mistake career people make. That my work will speak for me. Now, it's one thing to do good work. It's another thing to have visibility to your good work. Because if you don't talk about your good work, somebody else will take your glory. And trust me, people are currently taking your glory right now. in the work that you do that you don't document, that you don't tell stories about. And that's why I love the Gen Z generation. They are not going to wait for you to define their value. They are defining it on their own terms. Right? And that's one thing that a lot of us need to learn. It is not, you are not being proud, you are not being arrogant by talking about the value you've just delivered in your organization to your immediate itself requires visibility. If you do excellent work, you must talk about it. You must document it. You must show it. Because guess what? The more you write it, the more you talk about it, the more you start to believe in yourself that you can do more. And that's where imposter syndrome starts to come in. You've just done something great, but you're afraid to talk about it because you don't believe that it was you that actually did it. I used to suffer from this, when I was a lot younger, right? I remember I once wrote something, and I think it went to, is it Bloomberg or one of these international media platforms picked it. And for days, I was surprised. Like, did I actually write this? Like, how did they even, find this worthy of publishing, right? And I kept it to myself for so long. And then randomly I went for an interview. I don't even know what we're talking. Somebody just asked me, what's the proudest thing that you've done? I was thinking, and then something just said, just mention it. That, this platform once posted an article that you wrote. And that was what gave me the job. Right? Because, and I now had to think back that so many things, so many opportunities that passed me by that I would have gotten before that moment, because I was just too afraid to say, if I tell somebody now, you get. But you are not proud by talking about what you do. By talking about what you do, there is a story, I'm not going to mention the brand. It's a bank. There is a department, regular department. You have junior people, mid people, senior people. And there is this young girl who just came into the department, and she came in quiet. Let's not do. This lady went on TikTok and started doing a day in my life as a something officer, brand secrets, but just appreciating the work that she does and how it helps the company, right? And randomly was his son or his daughter that saw that and said, Daddy, come and see this very popular lady on TikTok, always talking about your company. And that was how the girl went from being an entry level to an EA. That's like 5 steps above everybody. And the other people in the department are like, and I've been thinking of doing this thing, and I've been thinking of doing this thing, because you're not confident enough. I mean, you can do it, but you are quiet about it. You are like, if I start now, hope they will not be. Start first and let them define the boundary for you to say, you can't go beyond this limit. But if a limit has not been set, why are you setting the limit in your mind? Because people, and trust me, again, I used to be very shy. I'm still shy till now, right? But I've learned how to, beat it. I didn't know how to talk to people like this. Even one of the stories, I didn't know how to talk to a woman in my life at one point in like 10, 15 years ago, right? But I started to post on social media, right? Those things I can't say in front of people. I can at least write them. So I started writing. And because, quiet people, they have the weirdest things going on in their head. They have the most crazy things going. So because I started writing, I started seeing that people were engaging. So me, I can write and you will like what I write. I will write more. And from the confidence of writing more, I said developing, it meant that people will seek you out, right? And then give online. So naturally, I knew I could not I could not disappoint people. So I started learning how to speak. And by public speaking, I have grown so much that even in every organization, from the first time they asked me to say, just help us and do this, they were like, you are a natural. That's everything they always say. You are, in fact, you are the one that will always do it. I remember my experience in Stank then when I joined. They have this promo that they do, something about millionaires. It's like a lottery or a raffle. The man who was supposed to do it one time, and it's a live event, they do it on YouTube, and it goes, the man took ill, and then there was nobody to step in. And then they were just my Oga then was just looking like, you are dressed well. That was the only reason he picked me. Not that he has seen me do anything. You are dressed well. Come and do it. Like, even if you are going to mess up, just stand there and do it. And then I took I've not seen any edition of that thing done before. I just went with, okay, typically, what does this look like? And then I just did it. And then like, have you been doing this before? I said, no. He said, okay, you are going to do it. Until I left Stanbic, I was the one doing it, right? How did I get to that point? It was by first taking the step to say, look, if I can't speak, at least I can write. So it is not about you just jumping at things. It's about you saying, okay, let me take the first step. Then if there is a boundary, I will know that there is a boundary. But if a boundary has not been created, you don't create the boundary for yourself. And that is where the problem usually starts from, right? So, and then the other thing I wanted to say is that first, before you decide to start showing confidence, make sure that you have mastery of what you are doing. Invest a lot of time in your knowledge, and not knowledge of the immediate work that you are doing. Knowledge of the things surrounding the work that you're doing. It's not enough for you to know the work. You also need to know the business of the work. If you want to grow quickly in career pursuits, it's not enough to say, I'm a customer service professional. I need to know how customer service contributes to the entire business of the work. Otherwise, you will limit your growth. You will never be anything other than a team lead in customer service. Because those who become head of customer service, head of customer experience, they are business leaders. They are not customer experience leaders. If all you care about is, I just want to learn customer service, not the business of the organization that I am doing. I won't mention the brand name because this is also going out. One of the ways they determine whether you are ready to move into management is they have this interview that they do. They will just call you randomly. It's like, what do they call this? Mystery shopper call. And it's somebody from senior executive that will just call you randomly. And they'll just ask you, what do you think of the ongoing situation in the Gulf region? If you don't know, you are not ready. Like, if you don't even know, you don't have an opinion, they could just ask you, what do you think about Trump's latest policy about immigration? If you don't know. So there comes a time in your life where you need to spread both vertically and horizontally. So it's not just about, oh, I know my work. I've chosen to do marketing, and you are doing marketing. Well, you can't even do marketing without knowing the business. Let's pick another, maybe operations, right? You need to know the business, and then you need to also know the macroeconomic realities that affect the business. Because those are some of the things that will determine some of the strategies you'll be able to put. Because if you don't understand the environment of the business, how do you then want to relate with the business? Otherwise, your strategies will be at loggerheads with what is happening outside. They say inflation is high. You want to increase your price. How do you want to get people to buy your product when people purchasing power is dropping. Your own product is rising. Do you understand? So you need to understand what goes on in the macro environment and your micro environment as well. That's why when you go for MBA classes, right, these are some of the things that you learn. So I would say that one of the things we should start doing after this kind of session is at least spend 30 minutes a week just researching, studying trends, things around the business that you do. You may not think you need the information now until you've soaked in so much, and suddenly, randomly in one meeting, they just ask you, anybody has any thoughts? Because of the information you've soaked in, you will start seeing that they are connecting in your head, and the advice you are giving, somebody is going to notice you that this guy is ready for a step up. And that is how people grow, right? Now, the second part is you need to start solving high value problems. Now, I believe that the single most important skill for any professional is problem solving after communication, right? Is problem solving. But there are small problems there are big problems. The people that want to grow in their career have to solve big problems. Look at the CEO of MoneyPoint today. He went for big problems. And that is how he's able to grow, build a unicorn today. Right? A lot of us are very comfortable with either running away from difficult tasks or looking for easy things to do. So we see that, they call them low-hanging fruit problems. Yes, they are good for your first 6 months in the job. Solve the they call them quick wins. Get your quick wins. Get it out. Let them know that you have arrived. Then you now go for what are the existential problems in this organization, in this department, in this team, in this division. You need to, even if immediately you don't have all of the capacity to solve it, you need to show a lot of interest in how that problem can be solved. That is how you announce yourself as a Daniel. That's how you announce yourself as a David. And if we go into the Bible, just looking at that's 1 Samuel 17, when Goliath was challenging the Israelites, King Saul was there, right? David's brothers were there who were more experienced in battle. They were there, and Goliath was saying derogatory things to them, to their God. And guess what? And that is how it affects us too, as people who are not very conscious. We see some problems and we do nothing about them until we get so comfortable with those problems. Until somebody comes and challenges our thinking. And then we're like, so why have we been comfortable with this problem? King Saul and all the experienced warriors were comfortable just listening to Goliath challenge them for how many days before David came? And then David came and was like, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? He looked at Goliath and did not see a giant. He saw a problem that needed to be solved. And then he went for it and solved it. And guess what? He became the next king, right? That is exactly how we should take our careers if we really want to grow. Don't look for these easy problems, these small problems, around you. Look for what are the big problems that can affect this company's bottom line, this company's revenue, this company's image. And now, if you're an entry level, you may not have all the capacity to solve the problem, but show interest in it. Give advice, right? Because that is how people start to trust you with the small resources to try and solve the problem. They know you may not be able to solve it immediately, but they will test you with a small portion of it. Okay, go and draft out this SOP that will at least create the framework for us to solve the problem. That has not solved the problem, but it is laying the foundation. And the excellence you put into that SOP will make them think that, okay, go and do this other job. You do it again, and before you know it, they are now putting the entire responsibility on you. And you getting more responsibility means your paycheck is rising. So you see that it's not money that comes first. It is the responsibility. It is the execution that comes first, and then the reward comes. So if you want to grow big, you have to solve big problems. If you want to grow, they call it linear growth, then solve linear problems. If you want exponential growth, solve exponential problems, right? And then the third one is what I call strategic networking, right? Strategic networking. Because again, let your light so shine before men. You need men to even see that light, to recognize that light, right? So you need to do what? You need to have strategic relationships with people. Now, what does networking mean? For a lot of Christians, they think that networking is the relationship I create with you because I want something from you. That's transaction. That's not networking. If the only time that I call you is when I need something from you, I have a transactional relationship with you. I don't have you as my network. Networks are like you building a roof over your head before rain starts to fall. Right? Not that, rain has started, so let me bring my umbrella. You see that after the rain, what to the umbrella? But if I have a roof over my head, even when the rain has gone, it stays. Right? So you need to start building relationships with people that are low pressure, right? And it's more about what you can give them than what they can give you. You receive giving people things that will demand a lot from you. You will not be able, you struggle to build networks. You can give people your advice, can give people a recommendation, can give people time. You can, I was listening to Pastor Akinpelu on Wednesday. He talked about the photographer who volunteered to take his picture, and that singular act took him into rooms he would never have had access to. That is the power of networking. And the highest value people in the career space are people with strong networks. People that can say, go there and tell them Olumide sent you, you get the job. Now, it is not that moment that they sent you there that you mentioned Olumide's name that got you the job. It is a lot of things that Olumide has done in the past that makes them to say, if Olumide is the one recommending you, then I trust you. And you can do that even for your career. I mean, I do not make to boast. The last time that I submitted CV for any job that I have gotten was 2018. All the jobs I've gotten have been either being poached or just hijacked out of networking. Like somebody knows that you are good at this, and they say, if you can't get this guy, don't bother. Right? And that's because I do a lot of things for a lot of people without necessarily saying, oh, come and pay me. Come and, I don't need it. Let's just get this done. And like I said, that's why your career there has to be a value underneath it. What value are you bringing? Is that value that adds trust to your name, that adds value to your presence, your being, right? So your strategic networking is very, very important. And you can learn from the story of Joseph. Remember that Joseph, the first time he interpreted dream was not for Pharaoh. The first time was for who? Exactly, the chief butler, right? And at the end, what did he say? He said, remember me. And I even think, if my memory serves me right, there was one person that did not even remember him at first. I think it was the same guy. He didn't remember at first because it was not a high stakes moment. But when the moment became high stakes, he remembered. And that is what in markets they call it TOMA, top of mind awareness. There are certain things you will do for people. You will always be top on their mind. because you've shown that value so much that they cannot think of any other. If they are saying top 3 people, your name, if it's not 1, is 2 or 3. That is how you build mind share, right? With the value that you bring on board. So, it's very important that you, so I will round up because my time is up now. Sorry, I lost track of time. Please just give me 5 extra minutes and then I'll be done, right? So I've talked about solving high value problems. I've talked about, stopping that myth of quiet confidence, meaning you need to do good work and talk about it. Second, you need to look for high value problems. Trust me, when you have quality knowledge, you will have confidence, right? So invest in your knowledge so you can build confidence. That confidence will help you solve high quality problems. And when you solve high quality problems, along the way, you will naturally build quality networks because people gravitate towards people of value. Right? So you see that is a chain, right? And then the last bit here that I will talk about in the last few minutes is that you need to have what they call integrity as a competitive edge. One thing that my mentors used to say is that small money does not really show the character of a person. When you put that person in charge of big money, that's when you really know whether they are a good person or not. I was making a joke on my wall the other day. I said, banks, typically, when they want to hire, they will take you to Kirikiri, right? And show you that if you touch our money, this is where you are coming to. Still, you will still see 1 or 2 big head. We still attempt it. If you don't have integrity, trust me, you can only hide for so long. There are situations that will test you. And it does not even have to do with money. In banks, they call something cook beans. Right? When you cook beans, you made a mistake. Do you own up to your mistakes? Or do you try to cover it up and even, guess what, implicate somebody else? That is terrible. Very terrible. And it is very common, right? And I want to ask a trick question. Should a Christian play office politics? If you say yes, I don't have the opportunity to interact. Why? And if you say no, why? There is the politics that I believe that a Christian should play. And there are politics that I believe Christians should abstain from. Because trust me, politics is like trying to dine with the devil. Right? You can't beat the devil at his own game. You have to draw the devil out of his own game and bring the devil into your own game for you to win him. Because tell me how you want to beat somebody out at lying, barefaced lie. How? Right? So it's very important that your integrity, there are some places where you get to that is your integrity that will speak for you. Like they've want a paromwe highest level. You have gotten to the front of the board. It is either to let you go and even put your name across all newspaper that this is the guy that did this, or something somewhere will come out from you. And it is somebody who can attest to something you've done years ago to say, I vouch for his character that is going to save you. Imagine if you don't have anything to stand for you, you are toast in this environment. And that's why what Pastor said, we are competing against certain people who want to do it certain way. People who believe that I cannot make it if I don't change 10,000 to 1 million. And then they need you to also imagine that is happening, and they've asked you to collude, and you say you are not there. And all of them, I'm trying not to use real examples, but you remove yourself and automatically they went behind and did everything to make it look like the whole fraud originated from you, because it was not you, or because it was you who said, I don't want to be part of it. So you need to make sure that you have integrity, and everybody knows that you're a man of integrity, not that you are quiet about your integrity. So they've come to meet you and then you're like, no, don't, I'm not interested. And then you just play it, like it is a small thing. There are some things that you will see and you just know that, look, I have to be firm about my principles here. I am not going to do this. Right? Not that, they think that you are just a gentle Christian. A Christian is not gentle. A Christian is not gentle. Once you come into a place, you need to lay down your marker. This is who I am. Everybody get used to it, so that certain things will not come to your doorstep. Right? And even if they come, they already know the answer that they will get. Right? So integrity is the last thing that, you need as a Christian that wants to grow in your career, because it gets to a point also in your career that people only want to deal with people of integrity. There are certain businesses that will only come to you if people can vouch for your character. There are certain roles that you can only pick up. I mean, if you are in the banking sector, and I'm using a lot of banking, or telcos or insurance, before you can become an ED, CBN has to approve you. And what do they send to CBN? They'll send your dossier, everything you've done. If you've had a query once in your life, it will be there. Everything you've done will be there. So if you've not built up your integrity up to that point, you just realize that you've created a ceiling for yourself that you cannot cross, right? So on this note, I want to charge us, right, that as Christians, success for us is not a destination. It's the result of a series of audacious choices, right? You are not just a worker who happens to be a Christian. You are a representative of the kingdom sent to bring order, excellence, and solutions to your industry, right? So the marketplace is waiting for the manifestations of the sons of God. Stop asking for a seat at the table and start building a table that is so well crafted that the world cannot help but pull a chair to sit with you. So I want to encourage us to go out and be audacious, because our growth is tied to our willingness to be bold in the marketplace. Thank you very much.
You're teaching me with my imperfections, reaching me when I run the other direction. I'm undone, unraveling.
Life is like music, an endless symphony of choices. But how do you play the song of life? Which way do you turn? Where should you go? Whom should you trust? What do you do? Is life just a random, endless series of choices? Or is there something more? Is there someone more? A conductor, someone to guide you, direct you, someone who can help you play the music of life. When you don't know what to do, when you don't know where to go, is there someone you can turn to? In the night time, in the dark times, in the lonely times, is there someone there? Or are you all alone? Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Follow me.